right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started here because Kathleen, Mo, and I have done a number of collaborations together. And all of a sudden we got busy and it's been a few months since we've done anything together, and that wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for my spirit, wasn't working for my soul. We just needed to change that. So one topic that I have been getting over and over and over again, and it always comes up about every 3 months, because I am not a big annual planner. I'm all about setting goals and business planning every quarter. Now, that doesn't mean everybody here is going to be on that same page. That's okay. You don't need to be. So here's the situation with why we're doing this is about every 3 months. It seems like at least a lot of the people that I'm speaking with, coaching with, or anything like that, the idea of I'm not a very good planner. I don't even have a business plan, or I don't even know where to start. So I have a huge trust in Kathleen and a huge trust in Mo, in the regards that I know that they hear a lot of the same things, and I know that they've helped a lot of people through it. Now, I'm here for very selfish reasons. I'm going to be very honest about that. I want to hang out with these two more, but the other thing is I asked them, can they give me 3 tips in regards to either goal setting or business planning that they might share with someone, if they only were able to share 3. So I'm here to take notes, quite frankly. I will share 3 as well, but I am hardcore here for selfish reasons. I want the 6 that they're going to give us. And Mo, would you mind kind of giving us a little start? I am curious whether it's goal planning, each one of the tips that you give, does it reference goal setting? Does it reference business planning, or would it apply to both of them? And before you do that and you give your first one, could I ask, are you a quarterly planner? Are you annually planner? Or where are you with all of this?
It's a great question.
Okay.
So the 3 tips that I'm going to give could be applied to either goal setting or business planning. And I realized as they were coming out, the theme is a before you set goals or business plan, a during, and an after.
Love it.
That's the theme.
Okay.
And as far as where I am with that right now, I am in the next baby step planning phase, meaning I'm only paying attention right now to the next baby step I'm supposed to take.
Okay.
I have an idea of my long-term vision, but I'm not overly concerning myself with the 1, 3, 5 year plan right now.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So what do you got for us?
So my first tip has to do with what you should do before you do any business planning or quarterly or annual, whatever you might be. Okay. And that is a solo trip. So a lot of people have heard me talk about this. If you worked with me or been in a class before, time alone. And I think what COVID has showed a lot of us is that a lot of us, myself included at times, even though I'm an introvert, don't want to spend time alone with our own thoughts. Okay. And so a lot of what I talk about with people is I'm an extremely efficient person. I like to be really efficient. And because of that, I like to get to the root of anything and everything before I get to the leaves and the branches of the tree. And for me, that means finding out exactly what it is that I'm passionate about. Maybe not exactly, but like really focusing on what that is and finding that and discovering that before I do all this other work. Yep. And so with the solo trip, I recommend people that usually go for like 2-3 nights by yourself to a safe location, a location that you love. That could be the beach, it could be the mountains, somewhere that brings you joy. And you can take your phone, but you put it on airplane mode. You don't have access to social media or email or people. And then I usually give them some activities. Now, I do have a formula for this that does not come from me. It actually comes from a previous coach whose name is D.R. Whitson, a really awesome coach in the Pacific Northwest area. And this was like the #1 thing he would tell everybody he worked with. And what's amazing, again, is that 95% of the people won't do it.
Yeah.
Won't do it. And I'm one of those people that says to myself, I'm going to do what everybody else won't do because it seems to be working. So the agenda can be whatever you determine it to be, because if you follow your heart, it will be exactly what you need. And I'll tell you, it might sound like the most simplest, craziest thing. You might be like, oh, I don't want to go somewhere by myself. Just do it. And I promise you, what will come from that will feed your business planning and your goals completely.
Okay. So just to share with you, I love this because I have seen you do this in real time over our relationship. I've seen you take these times where you go away for 2-3 days. Mm-hmm. But here's the beautiful thing is we've never directly talked about this before, And I've actually received this same formula from I'm thinking of one specific coaching client. And what she does is she knows that she needs to get away to do exactly what you're talking about. And what she does. She goes and rents a hotel for about 2 to 3 days. And she gets away. She absolutely does. I would love to hear from anybody else, because we will certainly be reading the comments and everything else like that. Does anybody else do this? Does anybody else
I would love to know.
I would love to know that, because I've really only heard that from 2 people. I've heard that from one coaching client.
Mhm.
And it is interesting for you to bring this up verbally, because I've literally watched you do this multiple times in the time that I've known you.
Yeah. And it's been a big deal for me, because I lead with vulnerability for anybody that I haven't met before. So you might hear me say things that you're like, oh my God, she said that out loud. Yes. I have had a fear of the dark in the past. And so for me to spend time alone in a little VRBO on one of the Pacific Northwest islands wasn't always enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love the daytime, and I can spend time by myself for much too long at times. If anything, I need to pull myself back to people. But it's not an easy thing for me to do. So I just want to preface that, but I would love to know if anybody else has done that.
Yeah. If that is something that even you haven't done, but you know yourself well enough to say, you know what, that actually resonates with me. That is something that I have not heard or have not considered, but I'm glad I just heard it. Even that is worth hearing, because someone else is going to read that and go, okay, so I'm not alone on that. That actually does resonate with me as well. Kathleen, what do you got?
I think it's fascinating that Mo and I didn't compare notes until last night, where we were talking and we were like, so what do you have? What do you have? Right. But until then, like no creative space had been shared, and they're interestingly aligned.
Okay.
Because my 3 things are be you, which means like stay in touch with who you are, how you're changing, what's important to you, stay dedicated, and stay flexible. Okay. Because it relates to both a business, personal goal setting, and your business. Because for me, it's monthly planning, and I have long-term goals, and even beyond the goals are dreams, right? Like the ones that aren't really mapped out yet are still hopes, wishes, and dreams. Yep. But I'm learning, particularly in the last year, 18 months, that I've learned, and my mastermind group really helped me with this, is that I am a feminine leader.
What does that mean? Help me.
It means that I am working inside my business with my intuition. I am present, what's happening in the market, what's happening with my clients, what's happening in my family, which is why I stay dedicated to the results that I want to see accomplished. But the way I get there is more fluid. Okay. And when I shared that with my mastermind group, which is Jen Stelka, Michelle Spalding, Vanessa Rosenblum, Alicia Connolly from Shep Creative. Am I forgetting someone? Me?
Okay, let's just say that's a crazy group.
Yeah, so right, these are successful women.
Oh my gosh.
And I bare my soul at the mastermind group saying, I don't really know. I don't really have a straight plan. I'm not really sure I'm doing it right. And they like lean into the camera on the Zoom meeting and say, you have just described feminine leadership. Oh, I have?
I love it.
So not that it has to be done by a woman, right? But that regimented, this is what it is, and we're going to stick to it, and we're going to make it happen, is no longer the way I think about goal setting and planning and managing my business.
Awesome. Okay, I didn't expect to hear either one of those out of either one of you, so that was great. So I appreciate that. Okay, so I know what I was going to bring up for my first point, but I didn't realize that both of you would, in my opinion, kind of use a concept that really aligns with something that I was about to say. And that is, I'm going to say the word vulnerability. Mo, you brought up vulnerability. As far as I'm concerned, Kathleen, you didn't use the word vulnerability, but you got to be kidding me. In front of that group, Michelle Spalding and everybody else, Jen Stelkep, come on. to not be vulnerable in front of those people, why even show up? Okay, so here is the first point that I was going to bring up is this. Now, Chrissy can certainly shake her head throughout this whole thing because Chrissy sees this in real time because Chrissy's a part of this. Is the fact is I own my company. I'm supposed to provide the vision. I'm supposed to provide the quarterly plan. Suck it up and get vulnerable. Okay. A lot of leaders, we want to come with the plan and we want to tell them what the vision is and tell them the direction that we're going to go. That's not the way we do things. It is my job to get vulnerable. And I hate it. Okay. I hated it. I enjoy it now. Okay. But here's what our formula is. Every time that we do quarterly planning, 12-week planning, whatever your verbiage is, it's a 3-step process. So here's what it is. Breckheimer has, usually I've got great big huge visions, plans, and everything else like that. It is my job to go ahead and present that to Chrissy. That's step one. I have to present it. I have to let her know what I would like us to accomplish, what I think we can accomplish, all of those types of things. And that's for me, that's for her, that's with our clients, that's with everything. Her job, here's step two. My job is to present the vision, the plan, the goals, everything. And I have to present it as if this is our final draft. What's Chrissy's job? Chrissy's job, before I present that to her, it's her job to look back at least at the last 2, if not 4 quarters. Her job is to analyze what we said our goals and objectives were going to be, and it's her job to pull out how well we did at achieving our goals, objectives, and plans are. Then what she does is she takes a look at those things and say, what did we say we were going to do and we never actually got done? Are those worth considering putting back in this plan? David, we said this, we talk a lot and we still didn't get this done, this done, this done, this done, this done. It is her job to throw that back in my face in the nicest way possible with her little kitty hat. Okay. So that is part of our checks and balances. We can set a goal and I can have big visions for this next quarter. It's her job to give me a reality check. David, let me show you what you told us we were going to do last quarter. And let me show you what we actually accomplished. And it's okay, because some of the things it's okay if we don't get them done, but let's discuss those real quick. Now, the next thing that she has to do, so the first thing she's doing is she's analyzing and reviewing our past quarters. The next thing that she's going to do, she has to tell me based on everything that I shared with her. Now, this is not happening same day. These are 3 separate meetings, and I can't stress that enough. Every quarterly planning is 3 separate meetings. So the second meeting, she's had time now to review what I've shared with her, and it's her time to say, can you bring clarity? Oh, if we can mute, there we go. She's going to do, so here are the words. Is there any part of the plan that I gave that she needs clarity? Number 2, is there any part of the plan where Breckheimer's eyes were bigger than his stomach? Okay, I like food, so I'm talking food analogies here, okay? Is there any part where Breckheimer's eyes were bigger than his stomach? Breckheimer, we can't, I mean, maybe we can get that done in 6 months, but 3 months, really? What else are we going to take off the plate to get that done? The third thing is, what does she think we should be focusing on that I didn't include in the plan? Those are the 3 things. And Chrissy, God bless your soul, you're amazing at it. You're amazing at it. Now, I will say this, that's part of my leadership style though. My leadership style is to empower people. And my wife, Dina, who walks by and hears our meeting, says, whenever I hang up, she goes, I love that your people just boss and push you around. They do that. They didn't do that when they got hired because the confidence isn't there, okay? I lead through empowerment. I empower them to ask me for clarity. I empower them to question what I'm putting on the table, and I empower them to tell me what they think I've missed putting on there. So my first suggestion on goal setting and business planning is make it a 3-step process. Find someone you trust. Find someone you trust and get vulnerable. And don't try to get it done in one meeting. I get it done in 3 meetings. It's me, it's her. Then what's the third meeting? Based on our 2 meetings, I have to present the final vision. It is my responsibility to come up with the final vision. Okay. That's the third one. So that's my first tip. And I hope that helps someone. But it's weird because I think this first round, I think vulnerability is a part of it. I really do. I really do. And I didn't think that that would be something that we were going to be really talking about today. But I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Mo, what do you got?
All right. So my second tip has to do with during the goal setting, during business planning.
Okay.
And that is allowing yourself to dream. Something that's not really fully embraced. And I'm going to reference this book called The Buddha and the Badass by Vishon.
Sure.
I think his last name is Lakiani, if I pronounce that right. And he says, all you have to know is what you want and why you want it. You don't need to figure out the how. And I don't know how many times I talk to myself and I talk to people that I work with, stop trying to figure out the how. You don't need to know the 25 steps it's going to take to get there. What's going to happen is when you bring the passion of what you want and why you want it, the most random people are going to find you at the gas station, at the coffee shop, at the grocery store. And they're going to be like, wow, this is what you do. How can I participate? How can I, oh, I'm a financial analyst. Oh my God, you're a financial analyst. How can, like, that is how it happens. And that kind of magic, that kind of unseen stuff is the stuff that I love, because I love the unexpected surprises. And so a lot of times what I find is people do not allow themselves to dream because they're already setting themselves up and expecting disappointment. So to avoid disappointment, to avoid sadness, they just stay small and they're like, oh no, I know what's going to happen if I do this. So I'm just going to keep doing this. And so that's where I love it when comes from. Whenever I get myself stuck in a place where I'm like, oh, this is happening. I haven't got the paycheck. How am I going to pay my bills next month? Which has been my life for most of the last 2 years, my first 2 years of business. I switched my thinking to, I love it when I receive expected and unexpected money. I love it when I run into my ideal client. I love it when I can find abundance in other ways, not just money. I love it when, I love it when, I love it when. So really following your heart and knowing that when you allow yourself to dream big and dream about things that would just seem amazing to you, as long as you start to put those intentions out there and speak about them, people will find you and you'll be surprised at what happens.
Yeah. Yep. By the way, you're using the power of the word, and I love that. That's always going to resonate with me. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love it when you talk like that. So thank you very much. I love that. Kathleen.
So for mine, I also brought a visual aid and a free download that people can have for
Awesome.
your audience after this. Margaret was my interim director of operations for a hot few months in between when Laura Sims went on maternity leave and Tammy Shimagawa joined our company. So she helped us craft what had been a goal tracking form into an intention tracker.
Yep.
So, this is a part of the, be you, stay dedicated, stay flexible, because it's important that there is a dedication to what is your integrity? What are you making a commitment to? Because there is power in that, right? There is power in the word. Yeah. And so, one of the branding changes that will be happening in my company over the next several months is the name of my company is really Inspired for Results. And this is our 10th year in business. Yeah. So the name of my business, KathleenMetcalf.com, Kathleen Metcalf Coaching, really just came out of the fact that that's what people knew me for. Right. And so, but the real name of my business is becoming more and more in light. And I'm not saying that as a way of promoting myself. I'm just saying that as a way of the evolution of what happens as you become more true to yourself and you bring that into your business, things evolve. Yeah. And so to have an intention, and then what is the mechanism that you use to also track that is a part of how do you stay dedicated? Okay. How do you stay on track with it? And then ours is meant to be monthly and then week by week. and it tracks what is the goal of the company for that time frame, what is the goal of your role, and what are your personal and financial goals, so that you are shepherding your life and that you're not two different people in two different places. But what is that line you have, David? Who I am
Sometimes is who I am all the time.
So that concept is built in to the fact that the company, the role that you play, and the goals that you have in your own life are all meant to go together. And so that's where knowing who you are, knowing what you are dedicated to achieving, and then being flexible for how are you going to get there, which allows for what Margaret was just talking about, which is once you set that out there, then you begin to look for the how. I had a coaching session for myself today, and my coach said to me, I really need you to know from the analytical perspective, like you were talking about with Chrissy, where do your clients come from? How long do they stay with you? If they don't stay with you or your team members that long, why? So that you can then be pointed in where you put your energy. So should you be looking for new people who are strangers, or should you be making those connections again with who that refer business? And so she was really trying to point me, because as we have the intention to grow, where should our energy go, right? And so to be able to stay true and dedicated to that result, how do we stay flexible in terms of where we put our energy, and how do we allow it to evolve as we, become more authentic, as we do our own personal development work, as we achieve new things in the business, we change.
Yeah. You mentioned the word tracking multiple times.
Yes.
Okay. So this won't be my second point, but I do want to acknowledge that you said tracking, because part of tracking is this for me anyways, is part of the reason why I do business planning and a lot of goal setting over a 3-month period rather than an annual period. Now, you're probably all better humans than I am. I'm just going to tell you where I think of myself. I'm going to screw up. That's about the level of confidence I have in myself. I'm going to screw this up. Okay. So here's the deal is I need to be put in check. And if I do everything on an annual basis, we're not going to catch those mistakes. We're not going to check where I got off track and that my tracking was no good or anything until it's a year later. I need someone to hold me accountable about every 3 months. Okay. Because I get excited and I'll go down a rabbit hole. Okay. So that's part of why that 3-month or the quarterly planning works for me versus an annual planning, because when you say tracking and everything, I think we do a pretty good job at tracking and everything. But I'm always willing to admit that even if we do a pretty good job, if it's up to Breckheimer is going to get excited about something and go hard one way or another. I need to be put in check about every 3 months. And now if I have someone to hold me accountable and say, tell me what the current plan is right now, and I'll go review what you said the plan was going to be for the last 3 months. So some of that tracking, that's part of why I do it every 3 months rather than annual. Okay. It is that tracking aspect. And I want someone to call me out when I get excited. Okay. So anyways, okay. So I appreciate you saying that because that is important. That's a big part of why I do what I do. Okay. So my next one, anybody who knows me maybe would guess that this was coming, because this is going to be in regards to who I am personally is who I am, or who I am sometimes who I am all the time. So this is both personal and professional. So this is going to be setting small goals. This is going to be about setting personal goals. This is about setting business goals. I'm taking this all the way across the board and that is many wins are huge. 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 And I wrote down, never underestimate the accumulated and compound effect of the mini win. Never. Never. Okay. Now, I'm going to quote someone else other than myself, because I will talk about many wins to the day I die. Okay. And where that comes from is we talked about vulnerability on here. Mental health matters to me. Hardcore, personal and professional. It was not an area of strength for me growing up. Okay. It was a real tough battle. Okay. You want to talk about what your 1, 3, and 5-year goal is? I was trying to figure out how to get through the next 5 minutes. I needed a mini win, and I needed it right now. And that mini win is going to keep me here. It matters. Okay. So mini wins became a very integral part of my life at many years ago. And I've never let go of that. And here's what I love is anybody who has ever heard of, in fact, what I did, just so everybody knows, after this call, all 3 of us are going to put on a document, all 3 of our points, and we're going to share them with you. And on my points, I'm going to give you a link to a couple of videos. And one of them is this, it's Jordan Peterson. And so what I'm going to do is rather than play that 4-minute video, I'm going to give you his translation of mini wins are huge. And he says, here's what a lot of you are doing. You're refusing to humble yourself and aim lower. Oh, I love that. Frickin' humble yourself and aim lower. He says, you're not aiming low enough. You're not setting the bar low enough. He says, doing this, aiming low, is an aid to humility. There is always something. Oh, this is so good. There's always something that you could do that you are regarding as trivial, that you could actually do, that you would do, and that would result in an actual improvement, but it's not big enough. Anybody who didn't just feel that, you are regarding as trivial because it's so small, because it's not a big enough improvement for you. So you won't lower yourself enough to take the opportunity. Aiming low does not mean you're not aiming, and it doesn't mean that you're not aiming up. It's not always about big visions. It's just not always about big visions. When we're talking about setting goals, when we're talking about business plans, it doesn't have to be huge. You don't need to make huge leaps forward. The amount of people that I coach that don't know each other and say the same thing in different verbiage, they say this. We talk about the things that we're going to recommend that they do. And here's where the pain point is. Oh, I wish I would have met you like 3 years ago. And I had been doing this for 3 years. You know what? I wish I would have met you 5 years ago. And I started this 5 years ago. You know what? I'm not even convinced you're going to start now. You're wishing you had met me 3 years ago and you had heard this 3 years ago? Let me ask you this. Are you going to start this now? And if I see you in 3 years, will you have been doing this consistently for the next 3 years? Because then who the frick cares if you met me 3 years ago? Come on, be honest with me. Mini wins are huge. Never underestimate their impact, their importance, and their accumulated effect. Aim lower. Humble yourself. So that is, you can tell, I'm about this close to crying. And by the way, my wife last night, she said, you know what? I said, gosh, you married such a sap. And she goes, that's who I wanted to marry. That poor woman. I'll cry at a good commercial. This one topic is huge to me. And it does affect the way that I look at goal setting, because it doesn't always have to be big. It doesn't. And my business planning doesn't always have to be big. Okay. And sometimes I don't know if I'm trying to impress someone by setting big goals. So I need someone like Chrissy to go back and look at what I said we were going to do. Okay. So that's my number 2. All right. I should just mute myself now. All right, Mo, what you got?
I'm laughing because people are going to think that we like planned this out beforehand. So my third tip is baby steps, which is very similar to mini wins.
Yep.
And
we did not talk about these. I specifically didn't want to know what you were going to say. I don't know what either one of you were going to say.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know on purpose. So
It's just even more perfect. So as I was writing down why this was my third step,
yep.
A big part of what has come up for me in the last 2 years as I've started my own business and had to struggle through the beginning of these first few steps is we have been conditioned by our schools, by our parents, even if they love us, we've been conditioned by society that it has to be really hard and we should struggle and it should be painful and we won't make it unless we really throw everything out on the ground, including all of our friends and family, and we don't have a life and all of this. And that is not true. It's just not true. But it's really hard to unwind that and unravel that from our brains. So that's what I've been working on, which looks like a whole lot of nothing, which to someone who likes to be very productive feels really wrong. It feels like I've been like bad behavior for the last, I've done a lot of things in my first 2 years of business, but it feels like I've been really behaving badly. And so one of my favorite videos that I like to watch whenever I'm feeling frustrated and things are not moving fast enough is one of Oprah's inspirational videos that somebody put together where she talks about how you don't need to know what needs to happen for the next year, the next 5 years, or the next 10 years. All you actually need to know is what you need to do today as the next baby step, which David just referenced. And the cool thing about this, which I can tell you guys that I have experienced this in so many different ways and stories, that I'm actually going to write a book about it. Because I don't know how about you, but if you guys like to be efficient, I would much rather take one step instead of 10. Mm-hmm. So for every baby step I take, I'm skipping 10 steps. That's what I figured out. It's freaking amazing. So yeah, baby steps. And just keep in mind that everything that we're doing, a lot of the books that we've read and the learning that we've had from growing up, a lot of it was written by white men. And so I like to think about and talk about racism, classism, sexism, and the different systems of oppression that we've been raised in. And the way that I do business doesn't look a lot like how people think it should look. And that's okay. So embrace that. A lot of what David and Kathleen and I have talked about today is that a lot of people think I'm weird. A lot of people think I'm strange. My parents are like, do you have the money to pay your bills? And I'm like, well, this month I actually need to borrow money from you. But they're still here. They're still supporting me and they see the magic unfolding. They see the proposals coming in. They see my life expanding and unfolding. And I am so freaking happy. And that joy and that fulfillment cannot be bought anywhere else. So many wins, baby steps. I can't even wait to hear what Kathleen's going to say.
And I want to pause right there because we do have some comments saying, hey, I would love that link. I'd love that link. What we're going to do is we are going to all be able to include our notes on one document for you. Chrissy will put it together in a PDF and it will be sent out automatically, emailed to you guys by the end of the next week with all of these notes. And each one of us will be able to put in any links that we referenced. So we'll certainly put those things in there. So I hope that helps. Kathleen.
So I have so many things I want to say. So I dumped all my three in the very beginning. So I just keep repeating them. So I'm sorry. I feel like I'm playing the game a little sideways, but the fact that this is all factoring into Mo and I have a membership, right, called BU.
Yep.
And the authenticity that is developed, right? Because all of us that own our own businesses in particular, this is also true, I think, when you work on a team, but who you are, who you're becoming is reflected in your business. So when I want to grow or I want to achieve a new level, I've learned to ask, so how am I in my own way? Mm-hmm. What do I have to unlearn and stop doing in order to accept a new level of blessing, a new level of success? And so I put in the chat, BU is know thyself. Mm-hmm. So in the exercises that I put into the worksheet to share with everyone here today are exercises about, what are things that have happened in your past where, I took an exercise from Adam Hergenrother and one of the things that he put out a few years ago about how are you handling your failures? What have you learned from your failures? Mm-hmm. What are the timeline of things that have happened in your past and how do you view those? And what are things that you want to have happen in your future? And I do a timeline from 0 to 100 years old. so that we're really looking at what are your values? What are the roles that you play in your life? And I learned this from the Franklin Covey planner,
Okay.
which used to be the Franklin planner, and then Stephen Covey,
Yeah.
But I learned about the roles I play in my life. And I was, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm a daughter, right? I'm a wife. I'm a stepmother. I'm a grandmother. I'm in my community. I'm a business leader. I'm a member of my sober recovery community. So something I actually share much more freely in the last few years than I ever used to is that in December 11th, 2001, I was 20 years sober. Yay. Because you all didn't want to be around before. It was really messy. And so, one of the things we're experimenting with in a BU is I'm doing a 4-part series on you can recover from pretty much anything. Because I think in goal setting, one of the things about know thyself is if there are things that haven't gone well, then how do we recover from that so that we allow it to influence what we now want to create from a place of, I'm going to say purity. I just mean so that it isn't poisoned, because just because something didn't work before doesn't mean we can't have it in the future. Then what was the lesson from before? Yep. Right. And in my own business, right, in 2019, I sold my business to some people and I became an employee. And we tanked it in 7 months. It was 7 years old. It was so successful, they wanted to buy it. And whatever we did in 7 months really failed. And so they were like, yeah, we're out. And they just gave it back to me. And I had to rebuild it. And so with my tail between my legs, I went to my old boss, the real estate coach. And she's like, okay, you need to change your rates, make them something that people can't say no to. And get on the phone and call all the people who already love you and say, would you like to coach with me? And my schedule was filled and everything was fine in 4 months. Mm-hmm. But that was really hard.
Yeah.
It was hard to recover. And so how do we recover from the things, right, that either didn't go well or that we feel like was totally out of our control and it was just luck? So know thyself and then be able to allow that to have flexibility, have dedication, and have authenticity so that your goals are really a reflection of the fact that this means something to you. Because depending on where you are in your career, I was just talking to a client about this today. It's not really about paying the electric bill anymore. I mean, sometimes it is. But once you reach a certain level of success, you can pay the electric bill. You already have a car, you have a house, you might even have a rental property. It's not about that anymore. So then what is the motivation? What is the inspiration? What is the driving force that is connected to you so that your purpose, right? Like I want to revolutionize the real estate industry. The fact that agents get successful sort of by accident and by skill, and then they have a team, but then there's no systems and they have no checklist and there's no how to. And so then everyone is burned out and fried and tired. Right, I'm singing to the choir on this one with David Bruckheimer, but it doesn't have to be like that. So I want to revolutionize that with all of the people who are here, right? Like we want to be able to make a difference. And so that driving force keeps having me pay attention to what is happening in the industry. What are the opportunities? Who are the connections? Where can we develop something? Where can we connect something? Right. I just sent links to the free email management course today to a client, like, here, you need to get in there and learn from David, right? He's already invented it. So, that know yourself is a perpetual series of exercises.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I showed up for this. Okay. So I'm being serious, actually. Okay. So if you haven't seen the progression yet, I did lay out how the 3 points in a very specific manner. Okay. The very first one we talked about, the fact is we were talking about planning, and we were talking about finding someone that you can be vulnerable, finding someone that you could partner with and actually talk about something. Why did I do all of that first? Because of this. It's something you can apply this quarter. It's something you can apply now. Okay. I mean, right now that's applicable. You could actually, if you are no good at business planning, you've never set a plan or anything, you don't have to wait till the next quarter starts. You can start right now. But even if you have a plan for this quarter or anything else like that, or if you have an annual plan, you can say, you know what, let's refresh that at the start of next quarter, say July 1st. So this is something I put that purposely because I want you to have something you can hold on to and take action on now. Now, the next one I went through is mini wins. Guess what? You can apply that before you get off this freaking call. Okay. One you can apply pretty soon, almost immediately. The other one, if you can't figure out a way to apply a mini win before the end of the day today, you need to email me and we need to get on a phone call or a Zoom. Okay. Those are now things. The next one I'm going to talk about is going to take a lot of freaking work. So you might not like it. Okay. It's going to be 5 years of work. It is not something you're going to apply next month. It is not something you're going to apply before the end of the day today. It's 5 years of work. And I'm not talking figurative. I'm talking a literal 5 years and exactly 5 years. Okay. And that is this: become, if you care, literally care, and I mean this personally and professionally, if you literally care about learning to truly be great and effective at goal setting and business planning, commit to become a student. Become a student of the topic. And so I'm going to play right now. It's 55 seconds, 54 seconds. This is what I call the Les Brown formula. This is Les Brown. He doesn't call it the Les Brown formula, but I call it the Les Brown formula. Okay. And we'll talk about this in 1 second.
If you decide in any particular area that you're concerned about to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to read one book a month in that area, in 5 years, you'll be among the top 5% experts in the world. I read a minimum of 2 books a week. The average American reads only 1 book a year. If you decide that area that you love, that you are going to master that particular area, in this era of accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition, as you begin to develop and expand your skills and your talents and your vision of yourself, you will always be in control of your destiny.
I want to tell you right now, this one's hard for me to talk about a little bit. That 55 seconds changed my life. It saved my life. It changed my life. And that's not figurative. That's literal. I needed peace and contentment in my life years ago. And when I was 19, I heard him say that. I needed it or I wouldn't be here. It was that level of seriousness. And when I heard that, it empowered me at a level that I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's empowered me more. Because he said, if you want something enough, pick a topic, any topic. If you want it bad enough, you can choose to put the work in. Find a book each month on that topic that means that much to you, and pick a new book and read 1 new book per month, every month for the next 5 years. And if you think I didn't take that literal, and you don't, personally, I'll be really hard pressed. And if you know someone that has done this more than I have, I want to meet that person. If you know anybody who has read more books on peace and contentment, I need to meet them, because I didn't read just 1 book on peace and contentment per month for 5 years. I read anywhere from 1 to 2 up to 8 per month for 5 years nonstop. And you know what? I don't just know about peace and contentment. I own peace and contentment, and I embody peace and contentment. It took real work, frickin' work, consistent work. What he is saying, I believe in like nobody's business. If you just wanted to come to this webinar and get a couple good ideas to start this afternoon and to start this next quarter, God bless you. If you can't find something in this webinar that you can start today and start next quarter, you weren't listening. But I'll tell you this right now, there are also some suggestions here that are going to take some real freaking work, consistent work. Not you're going to work on this for 3 months and you're going to get tired. You're going to get distracted. You're going to get lazy. You have to determine what he was saying is find something that means so much to you that nothing could stop you from reading one book on that topic per month for 5 years without hesitating. Now, I will tell you what the result of that is, because I've done this. None of this is theory to me. Anybody who knows me knows I don't talk theory. It's just not my gig. Okay. I only do things that I really know, and I've probably done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And if you do what he says, you won't be able to stop after 5 years. That will just become who you are, and you can't stop looking for that information. I started that when I was 19. It's still, I mean, if you look at Cultivate Wins, what's our core concepts based on? Okay. Peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. Do you know that it's actually impossible? And I'd love someone to prove me wrong on this. If you read one book per month for 5 years on peace and contentment, you can't help but be slaughtered with the topic of joy, gratitude, and compassion. It's almost impossible. That's where that came from with Cultivate Wins. All those years ago when I was 19. My wife is my high school sweetheart. I'm 51 this year. She has heard those 5 words so many times. I'd say she's heard them so many times she could puke. I mean, but she isn't. She loves it because she knows we don't just talk about it. We don't just study it. We embody it. So think about that. That has nothing to do with me or anything else like that. That's me telling you that what he said, if you truly care about goal setting, you truly care about planning, become a student of it. Anything that you truly decide to become a student of it is going to take long-term work, long-term legitimate work. It's not going to take a 1 webinar. It's not going to take a 3-month course. Okay. It's a real commitment. So that's my last thing about goal setting and business planning. Become a student of it if it's something that means that much to you. Okay. I hope that there was something of value for everybody here today. And Chrissy, I want to thank you in advance, because Chrissy is going to edit this and get all the points on there and everything else like that. And she will, we will throw this in for those that are members of Cultivate Win. It will be in the webinars, but for those that aren't, it is going to be on YouTube as well. Now on YouTube, they won't allow me to upload a PDF with it. So everybody who's registered here, you'll be emailed the PDF once Chrissy has that done. That'll be next week. In the membership, you notice that it's always there. Every webinar, you'll see there's a downloadable PDF with all the notes. That's there. And if Chrissy can find a way maybe to host it on maybe our Google Drive or something like that, you could put a link in the description of YouTube and maybe it'd be downloadable there. So does anybody have anything they want to raise their hand, question, or ask, or just any points that mean something to them or something that resonated with them? Anybody? Yes, Mo.
Well, I have kind of a question for the group, just because I'm always curious what people come to. So you came to a webinar for business planning, quarterly planning, annual planning. Did you get what you expected? Did you not get? And if you didn't get something you expected, what is that? What were you looking for? I'm just curious.
And unmute. I'd love to hear it. That's a great question. That's a great question. And Peter, I'm going to call you out.
Call them out. Yes.
Peter, what were you hoping to get when you signed up for this?
Oh, I can unmute myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know that I was hoping to get anything in particular, but on its surface, when I hear a goals planning seminar, I immediately go to that old corporate mentality that I have about we're going to lay out X, Y, Z. These are the nuts and bolts. And I heard Margaret say, something about you don't all have to be the do it now, more kind of mentality. And that was drilled into me like for 15 years after I left college. So that's what I would have expected. But what I got was the exact opposite, which is actually kind of breathtaking. So I'm gonna, this will definitely resonate with me. And when you said, if you didn't get something out of this today that's deeper than just a tip or two about what you can do for a quarterly plan or whatever, then you weren't listening. And so I think as you were wrapping up and I was listening to you talk, I heard you say, become a student of goal setting and planning. So I'm actually going to look into that because I don't want to be that corporate mindset. I feel bad for my poor team that is probably like, this guy's crazy. So that's what I have. That's what I have.
I love it. I love it. Anybody else?
Melissa?
I really love the baby steps. Because that is something I find myself caught up all the time with, is if I plan too big, it's just this huge big bubble that I look at and I feel overwhelmed the minute I look at.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have it broken down into little steps and pieces where I'm able to just find the puzzle. So like a big puzzle, where I find the little puzzle pieces that match together, where I can actually find a piece. Because when I do a puzzle, I start with the corners to get the frame, and then I work my way up with bigger pictures where I can easily find my puzzle pieces to match that one thing, and then try to match it into the frame. And I never thought about that for goal setting. So I always, and based on my college career as well, you're just like Peter said, you have the vision, the plan, the goals, and then you break it down, and then a year passes by and you're already gone through everything and accomplished not as many things as you wanted. So the baby things, that is really something to understand, that again, that they matter the most to get where we want to be. That is my big takeaway from today.
Awesome.
I love that, David. I just have to say, in response to what she said, sounds like I'm echoing too. Sometimes, just so you know, the baby step is the thing we don't want to do.
Yep.
Is what I found. So it might be making a difficult call. It might be having a hard conversation. It might be calling someone that makes you nervous. And that's where people go back to the 10 steps, because they're like, well, I know what to do here. So just so you know, that baby step might be something you don't want to do, but do it anyway. It's fun.
One more person, and I hope she doesn't hate me for calling her out. It's just, I've got such love and respect for her, is Emily. Seriously, I mean, I absolutely adore you, and I absolutely respect you at such a high level. Is there anything here that you would want to add? Because I so appreciate your opinion, or anything that you want to point out.
Well, first of all, to answer your question of did I get what I expected whenever I came to this, and yes, because I knew it wasn't going to be a standard goal setting, and I've been a part of those for many years, and it's really good to get another side of it. And talking about vulnerability and leadership and all of that. That is who I am. That's how I lead. That's how I live my life. So I love that. But what Mo put it in the chat, and hopefully I don't cry because all of a sudden I'm like feeling super emotional about this. But she said, it's perfect timing where you are now. And it can be so disappointing. Like, I'm an achiever, Enneagram 3, like just big. I want to go all the way and everything, and to look and be disappointed of where I'm at right now. Like, just started our own business 2.5 years ago, right before the pandemic. Like, it was just a crazy switch. Yeah. But I can see everything paying off now, and just looking at like it's okay. Like I am in the perfect place where I am now. And I can look back and I can see all the things that I've done and been a part of and the people who I've been around and how that has helped shape me and make me who I am today.
Yeah.
And just to encourage those like maybe you're disappointed or maybe like who knows where you're at right now in your business, in your career, and just to look at it and be like, no, this right now is serving a purpose. And
Yeah.
I just need to push through and keep going and stay positive and at peace and full of joy through all those moments.
Yeah. And my disappointment in myself is like, I should have called Emily and said, what are your 3? Come on, let's go.
Oh, no.
But when I saw you on there was, I hope you're okay that I asked you to.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I truly appreciate you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kathleen, anything on the way out? I'll let you get the last word here.
I really encourage everyone who is here today and who sees this recording that they implement something, just try something, right? Put something into action and have your own experience about how it makes a difference for you.
Awesome. Application, 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 application. I love it. All right. Tons of love to everybody. I'm going to say that this will probably get posted next Friday. Chrissy is usually better than I am, so she will probably have it done before then. And anybody who ever is on any of our webinars and sees Christy doing this all the time. Chrissy, can you unmute and tell us what this means?
Hi, I'm from the Philippines, so I'm not sure if it's the same everywhere, but when we do this, it's actually a heart sign. So I'm showing my love whenever I do this sign.
Those are her little hearts.
Thank you, everyone.
I love that. And I saw you do that quite a few times throughout this. I just wanted to point that out for people that weren't aware of it. So anyways, tons of love to everybody and a huge, huge thank you to Kathleen and Mo. Seriously, seriously, seriously. Love all you guys. Have an awesome weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.